Good afternoon and welcome to the groundbreaking for Sweet Galilee at Wigwam. My name is Rick Banis. I'm with Garden Management Solutions, and on behalf of the team of Garden, we are honored to have been part of the project development team, as well as having been selected to manage the community. Should be opening about a year from now. And one of the things that I love best about what I do is I have the opportunity to get out and visit and talk with residents and family members of the nearly 60 communities that Garden manages here in Illinois, Indiana, as well as in the mid-Atlantic states. And one of the individuals that I had the opportunity to meet a number of years ago was a resident of a community by the name of Manny. Manny, when I met him, was 98 years of age. I was standing in the lobby of the community admiring a 8-foot-tall wood carving of the Gettysburg Address. And as I'm standing there admiring this wood carving that has been down at the Lincoln Museum in Springfield, Illinois, Manny came up and introduced himself. Turns out that Manny had lived, before moving into the community, right across the street from where I went to high school. And now at 98 years of age, he needed some assistance, moved into the community because it was close to where his daughter lived. And what he loved so much about living in the community was that it provided him the opportunity to get the assistance and the support services that he needed while maintaining his independence. Manny told me that he was still doing wood carving in his apartment, but with arthritis, he could only do the wood carving about 2 hours a day. What is even more remarkable is that Manny didn't take up wood carving until he was 92 years of age. At 96, he spent 3.5 months doing the wood carving of the Gettysburg Address. Manny's just one example of the value, the benefits of communities such as Sweet Galilee at Wigwam, the opportunity for someone to be able to get the help and support that they need and maintain as much independence as possible for as long as possible. Let me begin by introducing a key figure, probably the key figure, in the overall development of Sweet Galilee at Wigwam, Gary Hobbs.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. First of all, I just want to give glory and honor to God, who's my source and the center of my life. And guys, just to see what is happening right now is a dream come true. And as a developer and as a development company, we certainly enjoy the opportunity of seeing things before they come into existence. Many of us may call that faith as well, but to see it manifest like this is something extra special. And just not for me and my company, BWI, but also something special here for this community. This area within Anderson has not seen a lot of investment in years, maybe decades. And to have a $30 million facility investment into this area with 50 plus new construction jobs and over 60 permanent jobs being created for this wonderful community is really, really awesome. And not to mention, right across the street is another one of our developments, which is 44 apartments, affordable housing apartments, that we closed and finished last year. We're certainly proud of that as well. The overall vision here, you guys, when we first embarked upon acquiring the Wigwam, which is over to your right, the school, was for this entire site to be a holistic development concept, creating jobs there for the affordable housing next to us. Hopefully many of those people next door can find employment opportunities, permanent employment opportunities with our assisted living facility. The seniors that'll be in the assisted living facility can hopefully enjoy events, concerts, basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments, next door here at the Wigwam for years to come in their latter years of their life. And of course, Jane Polly, who also invested over $1 million in the Wigwam, can continue to provide health services and behavioral services, just not only for our residents, but the larger community here of Anderson. And that's what we're about here at BWI. We're a purpose-driven development company, and this is what we do. And not to mention, this area, a lot of people don't realize, is also considered an opportunity zone. And we're still reaching out and encouraging investors with capital gains to also invest as part of this vision. We want to create wealth opportunities for Anderson investors here that are in our region. People really do care about the Anderson community, and what our mayor and staff and team have done a phenomenal job over the years I've known the mayor. And so with that, I do want to just give a few accolades and compliments to a few folks that have made this possible before I bring up Megan. Number one, my better half, as people would say, my rock, for me personally, the person that sees me when I'm mad and down, and the one who's with me when I'm also happy, and that's my lovely wife, Lori. Lori, raise your hand there. Yes. And not only is she my wife, she's also a business owner that helped co-sponsor the groundbreaking event with Sproul Funeral and Cremation Care. And she has some of her people with her. Sproul Funeral Cremation Care people, raise your hand. So they're scattered all throughout. And one of the interesting things about her and her business, and also being an entrepreneur, is that her and her team have built the first brand new African-American funeral home since 1927. And they're based in Indianapolis, but they serve the Indianapolis and Anderson and Fishers area. And I'm just very, very proud of her and the team, and being a visionary as well, and being a part of the overall pre-planning with our residents. They'll be coming here with Sweet Galilee, and making sure that their estates are set up properly, and they and their families, when they pass on and move on, are well taken care of. And so I'm super proud that Sproul Funeral Cremation Care has been a part of this, and my wife has been at my side, and so wanted to give her credit. Number two, certainly the mayor. A lot of this really wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the mayor. And Mayor, you remember several years ago, the mayor had a tough decision, you guys, and we were down to the last minute, Mayor, you recall. He had to either sign a piece of paper and say yes, or say no. If he had said no, none of this would be happening here today. It would be vacant land. He dug deep in his heart. I want to believe a lot of prayer he had and prayer I had for him to say yes. He decided to say yes and take a gamble on a little old man like me. Now, of course, I'm not little, but he took a gamble. And for that, Mayor, I want to say thank you. And Deputy Mayor, I want to say thank you, because none of this would be here today if you said no at that last moment. Let's give the mayor a hand. And the fact of the matter is that we need visionaries like that. As a minority African-American man, I realize that I need people like the mayor, who may not look like me, but deep down in their heart, something told them to believe in me and BWI, and he did it. We need more people like that. More people like the mayor and the deputy mayor. So I'll always owe you a debt of gratitude there, Mayor, for what you've done so far. We appreciate it. A few other folks, and I'll hand it over here shortly, are our investors. I was happy to see AHP. Cindy, where are you? AHP, yes. So they're the group. They're a part of Warren Buffett's group of companies that invested and bought the tax credits. They're a partner with us on this project, and we're looking to do many more throughout the state and the nation here with AHP. And of course, our attorney legal team, I know all 30 of them aren't here, but But I think we got a few of our attorneys. My attorney team, if you're here, can you wave your hand? Oh, there we go. Okay, Matt and a few others. Couldn't have done it here without certainly Matt and many of the other attorneys that made buying bonds, selling bonds, and investor tax credits. It's a very complicated deal structure, but we have a good, solid development team that made it happen. And last but not least, I want to make mention of my business partner, Chief Operating Officer. She got promoted over the summer, rightfully so. And she's the one that really pulled this project off. I may have had the initial vision around it, but Megan, who's also now a business partner with us, and Lori and I, she was the one that was in the trenches and making it happen with a host of other partners like Guarded and many others to pull this off. And I want to welcome Megan up. Let's give Megan a hand. I want Megan to speak a little bit about the project details, and then you can hand it back over to Rick.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dad. Well, yeah, I just will kind of piggyback off everything he said. He said I was in the trenches, but I had an amazing team with me, with the Tnw, obviously, and American Structure Point as our architect. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do this myself. So I want to say thank you to all those involved on that end, as well as Matt Carr with Frost Brown Tide. He was amazing in helping me bring this all together. So I'm just excited to bring what we're bringing to the city of Anderson. And, Mayor, I'll piggyback on that as well. I appreciate just your support and the whole team there with the city and helping this, get to the point it's at and to completion. I'll give you just a little bit of detail about the project at a high level. It's 130 units that we're bringing between bedrooms and studios. So there's going to be 85 one-bedrooms and 45 studios with a full dining room serving 3 meals a day. And we're super excited about just being a blessing to this community, to the residents there. And I look forward to continuing on to the Wigwam over here. For more information and to follow a play-by-play on what we're doing, you guys can visit our website specifically for this development and all the developments here in Anderson. It's called wigwamcomplex.com. So we'll make sure to get that information out via email to you guys as well. But again, I just want to thank you everybody for being here. Thank the BWI team as well. We all work together hard on this, so I just appreciate everybody for showing up. Thank you. Rick?
The next personal experience that I'd like to share with you was a resident of a community by the name of Pearl. Pearl was 87 years of age when I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with her and her sister, and her daughter and son-in-law. And Pearl had been living on her own for a number of years. She was receiving home health care because her vision was deteriorating. She was no longer able to drive. She had trouble seeing the medications to make sure she was taking her medications at the right time of day, the right medications. The problem was that when you take a look at the cost of home health care at $1,000 a week, along with all of her other living expenses, her income was not sufficient to be able to cover that cost for a long period of time. So she was quickly getting to the point where she could no longer afford the home health aid. And she wasn't able to go live with her son and daughter, or her daughter and son-in-law, because of the fact that they worked during the course of the day. And who was going to take care of her during those hours when they were not available? As they explained to me, they thought their only option was going to be moving into a nursing home. Pearl really didn't need nursing home care. She needed some help and assistance. And this provided her with the opportunity to live in her own private apartment, which she could decorate to her taste, as opposed to in a nursing home where she most likely, being on Medicaid, would mean that she'd have to share a room with at least one other resident. Pearl had the opportunity to get the help and assistance that she needed and enjoy the independence that she deserved. The next person I'd like to introduce is Steve Sheehorn from Tnw Corporation. Steve?
Thanks, Rick. I'm going to take this off so I can speak a little better. Appreciate everybody coming out today. I'm one of the owners of Tnw. We just really count it a privilege and feel very blessed to be able to work with Gary and Lori again. We've had the privilege of working with them on other developments that they've done before, and we're grateful that they have challenged us to work with them again and be with them in partnership on this. We got a great team at Tnw we're very proud of, and also our design team, Structure Point, Matt Carr and his team on the legal side of it, and Garden. We've done a lot of projects with them as well, and so we're really anxious about this project, really grateful. It's been a long time coming. We waited through everything on this. We got all of the big problems out of the way on the front end of this project, so we're going to just call it good and just move ahead with that. As you can see, we've got a lot of wood on site right now. All these panels out here, all the wall panels for the project. Because of that panelization, it allows us to go pretty quickly on the structure part of it. So, you know, Lord willing, and He shines favor on us here maybe in about 8 weeks or so, we'll have a main structure up. So that's what we're hoping for. Again, very grateful to be here today, and thank you both, and appreciate the honor. Thanks.
Gary mentioned an important decision, an important signing that needed to happen in order for this development to move forward. I'd like to introduce Mayor Tom Broderick, Mayor of Anderson, Indiana.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Gary, to you and your team and everything you guys are doing, and also the Garden family. You guys are doing a great job. I know you're going to really make an exceptional facility here. About a little over 4 years ago, I had the pleasure to meet Gary for the first time, and we sat and had some dinner together, and he explained to me what his visions were for the community, and particularly with regards to his development company and what he was hoping to see here and what he had to offer. And he had some great visions about an icon that all of us are quite familiar with here across the street at the Wigwam. But he also saw the needs that we had in our community for affordable housing for folks, and at the same time for an affordable and good quality assisted living for those also in need. And so he and his family, his wife and his daughter, worked together to be able to bring their visions to reality. And we want to thank you on behalf of the City of Anderson for all of your efforts and everything that you've done. The facility across the way, down the street here, is one that is certainly meeting the needs of many, and I know this particular facility will as well. And we do look forward to continuing to work together with regards to your ideas and thoughts and visions with respect to the Wigwam. Gary said that a few years ago they came, and as we discussed this, we talked about the need and the work and the efforts to try to have tax credits to be able to make this work, and all the many investors that are here. And at the time, there was other projects that were being bandied around, and other folks that had made requests similar to that. And at that point in time, it appeared that it was really somewhat of a competitive approach, and that it was very possible that some of these projects could be awarded and some of them would not. And so it became important at that time for us in the administration to look at and try to determine what made the most sense and what we thought had the most chance of success. Of course, like many things, you'd like to see everything happen, but that's not always the way it works out. So in meeting with Gary and his team, they made a very strong and compelling argument, and again presented their vision in a way that really stood out. And so we were proud to be able to sign off on that and join with them in making the request. And fortunately, at the state level, they agreed, and this worked out. Shortly after that, we had the opportunity, Greg Winkler and his team are here with our Economic Development Department to work on what they called opportunity zones. And as Gary mentioned a minute ago, we happen to be standing in one of the opportunity zones. We have 4 in our community now. And prior to the congressional change of law a few years ago, there was no such thing. And this became a vehicle for investors to put their capital gains into a project to help local communities survive, particularly those in difficult areas. And we worked hard to make suggestions to the governor, who ultimately had to then certify that to the federal government, to the Treasury, and they selected 4 of our areas, and that was done actually in-house by us, and Greg Winkler and his team worked on it, and they did a great job. And so we were able to put together these opportunity zones that we hope will continue to have some success as investors in our own community look at places where they can do work and invest and also realize gains, but at the same time help our community. So again, I'd just like to thank everybody who's here. We have several folks here from the administration, and I appreciate all of you guys coming. It's true that Gary and I, we don't look alike. He's much taller than I am. You probably noticed that. Tell you one funny story. We had, when the vice president came to the community a few years ago, they were lobbying on behalf of the president for some of the tax package that they had out there. And I was fortunate, because I'm the mayor, I was fortunate to be asked to greet the dignitaries when they came in. And so we were out at Flagship, and I went back there, and Gary was back there. He had been invited as a good friend of the vice president, but Gary was there. John Pistol, the president of Anderson University, was there. A couple of other guys were there, but everybody that was there were about 4 foot taller than I am. And I told them, when they all got there, I said, I want you guys to be on my basketball team. I guarantee you that. The other thing that was funny about that event was everybody wanted to get a picture with the vice president, and so everybody was trying to get selfies. And so finally, it's no secret I'm a Democrat, right? So most of the fellows there were the same political persuasion as the vice president. So anyway, I said, I'll just take your guys' picture. So next thing I know, I'm sitting there taking everybody's picture with the vice president, and finally the vice president, well, you can get in a picture too, you know. So somebody took a picture, and actually Gary had it and sent it to me later for I could have it. I can't show it to some of my closest friends. They get mad at me, but no, we appreciate the friendship, though, that Gary has shown and his family, and the fact that these folks have chosen Anderson. They could go a lot of places, because this is a top-notch developing company, and they have done a lot of great work throughout the state of Indiana. And but they could have chose other places, and they chose us, and we appreciate that, because what we see in our community is continued growth, and Gary's correct. It's been a lot of years since we've had the type of investment that we're seeing here, particularly in an area of the community that's been depressed off and on. And so to be able to have this investment and show your not only your interest, but your belief in the community says a great deal. And so we say thank you. And again, I want to thank everybody who's come out today to spend some time with us in this really great project that we look forward when the doors open here in next year. So thank you again very much, folks.
I do a lot of traveling. Most of it is Monday through Friday. But there was one weekend I needed to be in an area where we have a community that we manage, and I needed to stay overnight on Friday night. So I went back to the hotel after the conclusion of business, did a little exercise, ran to a restaurant about 7:30 on Friday night, and the restaurant, it's Friday night, it's crowded. So I had to give my name, wait for a table. Well, a seat opens up at the bar. So I sit down, get to talking to the couple next to me. What are you doing in town type of conversation? And as I'm talking to them, I told them that I work with the company that manages the affordable assisted living community. And the woman goes, my mom lived at that community. She said, we only had one regret, and that is that mom was terminal. She was dying. She only had 6 months to live. But when you take a look at what the staff did at that community, mom would get scared at night. She knew she was dying. She'd get scared, but there was always a staff member there to help get her through that period. When you take a look, she loved these little Debbie cupcakes. Now, let me assure you, she said, the staff was doing this not on company time. They were doing this on their personal time. They always made sure that she had the necessary supply of the Little Debbie cupcakes in her apartment. One of the things that we emphasize as we hire staff, as we train staff, as we evaluate staff, is that residents come first, and that in addition to the personal assistance, the support services that we provide, we want to make sure that we are providing residents with the love, the compassion, the dignity that they deserve. The next person I'd like to introduce is Clayton Whitson. He's CEO and President of the Madison County Chamber of Commerce. Clayton?
Thank you. I'll try and be brief here. That's usually a struggle for me. Usually I'm getting the hook to get off here. But you just brought up the level of care and the pride that you have. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I ask you to take a look at this rendering. You can tell that they care about their product and the level of care that the future residents here are going to have. Filling a need to help those that took care of us. Right? It's a moral obligation for us as a community to take care of our seniors, the folks that raised us and brought us up. And to be able to fill that void right here in the West Central District is huge in terms of investment for our community. It's undeniable, the economic momentum that we've built over the past 5 or 6 years here in Madison County. You see it along the flagship corridor. You see it now moving into our downtown area. This is going to be the springboard of many more future developments. I believe that in my heart. But on top of just the money and the jobs, you're taking it a step further. By looking at these renderings, you're taking on community beautification. That's what this is. We had a vacant lot right here that now is going to have this absolutely gorgeous building with landscaping on top of an entire Wigwam complex that is really going to be the pride of the West Central District in Anderson. I want to thank everybody that had a hand in putting this project together. This is going to be a huge economic booster for not just the West Central District, but our entire downtown of Anderson. Thank you.
Megan mentioned attention to detail, and she wanted to make sure that I recognized the folks from AHP, Matt Carr, D.A. Davidson, the folks from American Structure Point, part of the project development team, folks that are with us today for the groundbreaking Sprawl Funeral Home, members of the City Council, members of Economic Development, members of the administration of the City of Anderson. One last story before we turn the shovels of soil, and that is we manage a community in the inner city. And the community was working with a gentleman, 67 years of age, who was homeless. And on one afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he is in the administrator's office signing his paperwork to move into the community. A resident in her late 80s would come down about 5 o'clock every afternoon to get her mail. She's walking down the hallway, has to pass the administrator's office to get her mail, looks inside the administrator's office, he looks up, "Mama, my baby." The two were reunited after many years of separation. These are the types of things that a community like this can mean to a city like Anderson. Thank you so much for attending. I would like Gary, Megan, Steve Sheehorn, Tom, Broderick, Clayton Whitson, Matt, and someone from American Structure Point, and Cindy from AHP to come up for the groundbreaking. Anybody else, Gary or Megan, that you would like to have come up?
Lori also.
Yes.